Hi everybody, Materim here again with another RPG Talks. And since my last video was kind of a downer and talked about a decidedly unfun experience at the table, I decided to follow this one up with one of a more enjoyable nature. So today I'm going to tell you all about the Spoon of Power. I run my games on a homebrew world, and the campaign in question was a three-player event that was in a particular place in the campaign world in which the fairy folk are very active. So the group was a peasant hero, and this is second edition D&D. So the group was a peasant hero warrior, a thief fellow, and a pixie fairy psionicist. And the pixie fairy was a race I brought over from Hackmaster because I like them. They're kind of a crossbreed between two different fairy kind. They're small, can go invisible, that sort of fun stuff. So at one point during the campaign, the party went to a village called Glendon, where the peasant hero character is from. And the peasant hero character's mother was, well, kind of crotchety. And at one point swatted him with a wooden spoon. And the pixie character, who knew nothing of the interactions between mortals and family structures, none of that, got very offended and decided to strike a blow for all of these poor, unfortunate human children who are being beaten with flatware. So he goes invisible and flies through the whole town, breaking spoons. And it was so funny, he broke every spoon in the whole town and got rid of them. Now, this is where, to the point of why I'm telling this story, this is where sort of your basic GM would kind of laugh it off as a scene and go on with his story. But a GM who's really focused on bringing his characters into the world and making their actions matter might take a slightly different approach to it. And so did I. What I chose to do, they stayed in the town, or they went somewhere else, did a quest, and came back to the town later. And when they came back to the town, they were finding just random things were breaking. Like, the town blacksmith's hammers kept falling apart. Anything he made would be broken. Chandeliers would just mysteriously stop working and go out. Just all sorts of weird things having to do with broken down household equipment. Horses would be throwing shoes. All sorts of craziness. So the party is not sure what to do with this. They don't know what's going on. So they do some research, and through the abilities of the three party members, after a whole adventure, they end up coming upon the culprits. And the culprits are the house brownies that dwell in the village. And the party talks to the house brownies. It was interesting because it didn't turn into a combat encounter. It was, you know what, let's roleplay this out. Let's find out what's going on. And so it turns out, after they talk to the house brownies, that the brownies feel insulted. They feel that the spirit of the spoon had its back turned upon it by the townsfolk who broke all their spoons and threw them away, because the brownies didn't see the pixie fairy do it either. So they thought it was the townspeople. So the party explains the mistake and apologizes. And again, here's another situation. It's been a kind of a madcap adventure. I could have let it go there, but I decided, I'm going to push this even further and really make the players aware that their actions have ramifications. So the brownies didn't accept their apology. The brownies proceeded to tell them that they had angered the spirit of the spoon, and only through a great quest could the spirit of the spoon be calmed and things would go back to normal. So the party wants to know what this quest is, and so the brownies tell them that they must go venture out and return to the town with a spoon of power. And the look on my players' faces are like, really? A spoon of power? Are you kidding me? So, but they go with it because if they don't, I mean, worse and worse stuff's going to happen to this town. And one of the players was born here, and he's not going to let all that craziness go on without doing something. So it turned into this big long adventure where they had to do research and find out the tale of this mage who lived in the valley where the campaign was taking place, who once had a good friend who was a halfling. And, or no, a good friend that was a brownie, I'm sorry. And they find out through the legend of this story that the wizard was so pleased with the brownie's service and help throughout his life that he ended up crafting for him a magical spoon of stirring. So the party's like, oh, we got to go find that out. And so they end up going on this pretty traditional D&D dungeon crawl. They have to go uncover the tower of this ancient mage, which of course, as all towers are in D&D, has been taken over by some foul, evil. And if I recall correctly, it was like there was some poisoned, like the lake around the tower had gotten poisoned by potion runoff and became mudmen, and the tower itself was inhabited by mephits and other little elemental creatures. But they end up going through this whole thing, and it was a tough adventure I had set up for them, and they reclaimed the spoon of power, and they brought it back to the brownies and made peace between the brownies and the common folk of the town, and everything was good. And it was just, it's one of those things that has kind of become a running joke in amongst this group of players is the idea of the spoon of power, and it stemmed from one of those circumstances that so many DMs could just have ignored, or just been, or even worse, tell the pixie player, "Oh, you're being disruptive. Stop that." But when you take a moment to take what the players give you and just go, you know what? Yeah, what if this happened? What is the ramifications of this? What is the next step? What is the step after that? And play it out. And some of them you'll find it's not worth the effort because it is sort of distracting BS. But at least take the time to think about it, because you never know when you just have a perfect adventure idea lying right underneath a very thin layer of just shit players do when they're bored. um, and it's just amazing when you take that time. That turned what was literally just kind of an aside, a character moment to kind of show how scummy the mother in question was, turned it into like an adventure and a half that's still talked about to this day. I mean, this is years later, and these players are still excited about the time they had to go and quest for the spoon of power. Um, so I guess that's it. I don't want to go on too much, but I guess the takeaway for this one is for you DMs out there, say what if every once in a while. Take what the players give you and run with it and see what happens. Um, it may be good, it may be bad, it may be funny, but it's going to build on your campaign world, and it's going to make the players feel like what they're doing matters. They feel like they're contributing to the game, and that's really what makes a game great, when everyone feels like they're involved. So, thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you on the next RPG Talks.